Howdy, welcome back. This is George with NS345. Let's look at the lead vocal today. If you recall, I did a thing that I called naturally compressing the lead vocal. Basically what I did was I adjusted the clip gain on the track itself. I manually de-essed it. I reduced the peaks, the loudest peaks, to try and even out the voice. And this voice is not too difficult because it's very mellow, except in one of the choruses where it gets loud, but that's not too bad to handle. So today, let's focus on trying to get the vocal processed, and I'm gonna try to use some reverbs and some delay. I'm gonna try to use the stock plugins to do this. First, I'm gonna try to do some EQ and compression. So I have the vocal here. I'm gonna bring it here to the middle so we can see it better. Let's start with an EQ. And right away, I know I need to bring up the top end because it sounds too mellow, too dark, and that's easy to do, and I'm gonna use a shelf for that. So I'm going to select it here. As you can see, you have the two options for this plugin here. This is for a bell type curve, and this is for a shelf. So I can change the Q, and I can adjust the gain now. From your eyes, I'm getting wrapped up in love, wrapped up in love, wrapped up in love. Tell me, what is it like? Okay, so I did apply a shelf there, and I can change the Q here. I always like to leave a little bit of a resonance right at the tip here, and that makes a little bit of a difference in terms of tonality. From your eyes, I'm getting wrapped up in love, wrapped up in love. Let me bring this up a little bit. Under pale moonlight, I'm stealing stars from the skies. Before from I'm getting wrapped up. Okay, so what I've done here quickly at 2.6, I apply the shelf curve, and that's way back here at 2.6. Normally it wouldn't be that far back, but it's sounding good to me in the mix. And then I gave it a little attack or a little bite at 2.5, and it's sounding good. Check it out. Under pale moonlight, I'm stealing stars from the skies. Before from your, I don't know that I need to give it body, so if I can check it real quick, and I'm going to do that right in the 200s. Under pale moonlight, I'm stealing stars from the skies. Before from your eyes, I'm getting wrapped up in love. Okay, just a touch there, a few dBs, and actually it's 1.7 dB. Not much. I'm not cutting out other than right around 645 here. Under pale moonlight. Now, if I was to solo that track, under pale moonlight, you can hear the difference a little bit better, but I wanted to mix it context so you could hear how little of a difference a plugin actually makes. And what I mean by that is the changes can be subtle, but it still affects the entire mix. So one good practice to get into is mixing in context. Under pale moonlight, I'm stealing stars from the skies. Before from your eyes, I'm good. Okay, that's good. Let's go back to mixing in context. Under pale moonlight, I'm stealing stars from the skies. Before from your eyes, I'm getting wrapped up in love, wrapped up in love, wrapped up in love. Little high pass filter there at 72, no big deal, not doing much. So again, I have a shelf at 2.6, and I got a Q of 2 and a 2 dB gain. I could actually bring that up, but it's not making much of a difference anymore. I've got a boost at 1.8 of a Q of 2.5, and it's actually a 5 dB boost, and that again gave it attack, more presence. I've got a little boost in the low mids at 181. And that was a 1.7 dB boost in a Q of 2. I'm not using the low frequency band. See, I turned it off there. And I do have a high pass filter at 72 with a Q of 12. And that's all I'm going to do for this track. And notice that the EQ is pretty even here in terms of the input and the output. Let's move on to compression. Okay, and I'm going to use the stock compressor for this. Okay, and I'm going to bring in the attack just enough so that I can get some gain reduction. And with 48 milliseconds, it's already giving me about 6 dBs of reduction. So I'm going to adjust the ratio. Actually, I'm going to leave the ratio at 3, but the threshold, I'm going to work with the threshold. And I'm going to make the release as fast as possible, which is, I'm just going to make it 1. I guess the lowest number that you can go to on this plugin is 5 milliseconds. And I've got a ratio of 3 dBs, and it's barely giving me any compression. Okay, good. Now let's bring the threshold down a little bit. I'm not going to touch the sidechain for now. And let's keep going. I don't like my curve here or the knee to be too harsh, so there can have a level of smoothness to it. Okay, so right now I'm getting at about 4 to 6 dB of gain reduction. So I'm going to increase the gain by 4 dBs. Let's do that. Let's make that 6. Under pale moonlight, I'm stealing stars from the skies. There's obviously a difference, and you can look at the meters, what's coming in and what's going on, so there is a little bit of gain. Under pale moonlight. So I can either increase the input. So what I can do is just even it out, bring it back to about 4. Under pale moonlight, I'm stealing stars from the skies. From your eyes. Okay, so because I'm already tapped out on, I don't want to mess up with the gain staging there. I'm just going to bring up the fader now that I've got a good level. Under pale moonlight. I'm going to reduce the release. I want it to be a bit slower, maybe at 13 there. Under pale moonlight. Maybe a bit more. Under pale moonlight. Under pale moonlight. I'm stealing stars from the skies. They fall from your eyes. I'm getting wrapped up in love, wrapped up in love, wrapped up in love. Now the input's gone higher. And let me see if I can adjust the gain. Under pale moonlight, I'm stealing stars from the skies. Now, the one thing with the stock plugin, it's that it's very transparent, so you're not going to hear a lot of changes in terms of color, but it is doing the job. It is compressing the vocal, keeping it under a certain level. Next thing I want to do is I want to add a reverb. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go to my Sense and I'm going to say new track.